You have any tattoos?
I don't actually. That's probably the most alternative thing about me, is that I'm actually completely unaltered aside from being circumcised.
Are you a member of the tribe?
Yes.
You are?
Yeah, I was bar mitzvahed.
You were?
Not very active, but we did have a Seder a few days ago.
For Passover?
Yeah.
I'm a bad Jew.
I'm a terrible Jew.
What, do you remember what your Torah portion was?
No, I haven't even the slightest idea. I don't know what it was about. It was one of those ones that just seemed to be like, I think lots of how many cows people had and whose cousin was who. You know, it was
Right.
lineage stuff.
Yeah.
Fairly uninteresting.
So it's not the I'm Jewish, I don't have tattoos reason.
No, not at all. I just don't have, I've rarely thought of anything I wanted to have on my body forever.
Yeah.
And the one thing I thought at one point I wanted to have "Wake Up Now" written on my arm, just like, because that's the one thing I could always use to hear. It's like just a little slap in the face. And I was thinking of writing "Wake Up Now" and then heard, I think it was a This American Life about "Wake Up Now" is apparently like a kind of pyramid scheme, get rich quick, like kind of self-helpy thing. And I'm really, really glad I never wrote that on my body.
Right? What would you'd be sitting at that every day and you would never be able to think about Wake Up Now, you just think of the pyramid scheme.
I would just think of pyramid schemes. It would not be good. I hike, I run. I used to play ultimate frisbee, but then I worried about my ankles because all my friends were popping their Achilles or wrecking their knees. So now I just run.
Were you good at ultimate
Do
frisbee?
yoga here and there. No, it's terrible.
No?
Always bad
Could
at
you do
sports.
what is that, the hammer?
Can't do the hammer. I can kind of do a backhand, and I'm ambidextrous. There's my hidden talent.
I'm sorry, you've been holding out on me with that one?
Not with writing, not with playing. I play guitar right-handed, but I'm left-handed. But for ultimate frisbee, I'm ambidextrous.
All right, well that's something.
So I'm harder to block because I can throw my way out. That's my hidden talent.
That's a good
there
hidden
you go.
talent. Not everybody
That's
has
a
that.
hidden talent.
If you weren't a musician all this time, what do you think you would be doing?
I think I would have been academic.
Yeah?
I mean, possibly in the arts. Even in high school, I wanted to be a teacher. I had a high school theater teacher who, it was his first year teaching, and basically he came in and he said he loved the theater more than anything. But when he was getting his degree, he saw everybody around him and he saw how much ambition they had and how much ego they had, and that he loved the theater, but he knew he didn't have that, like he was too sensitive. And so he would never put himself in that position, but he wanted to stay in the theater, so he taught. And at like 15, I was like, yeah, that's how I feel. And I liked social sciences. I was really into sociology, anthropology, cultural anthropology. And so I kind of figured I'd head in that direction, and then my band got signed when I was 18, and I figured we'd get dropped in a couple of years, so why not say yes? It's a stupid thing to say no to, so.
Of course.
That happened, and then 25 years passed. So,
25 years
whatever
passed,
it's been.
and you never became the sociologist you dreamed of being.
No. So there's a chance, maybe I'll go academic for my second. But I never even got a BA, which kind of sucks. I'm curious about sacred music, and kind of, I guess my weird question is that sacred music, but from a secular point of view. Like, what do you do if you don't have religion, but there's something about singing spiritual music together in community? Like, outside of church, people don't sing together a lot. Like, we go to shows, we watch people sing, we listen to records, but there's this, like, I think a core human experience that we probably evolved for, that is singing together. It's being in unison, sharing song. It's like part of any intact indigenous culture is you sing together. And I think there is such a value to that, whether you believe in God or not. If you're a total Dawkinsy person, like, just to say, like, this fires up your brain in a way that few other things do. It syncs you with the people around you. And I would like to study that and kind of the purpose of music done in community, as opposed to I've always had problems with commodified music, and there's if you make music in this society, even if you make sacred music, it's kind of instantly commodified and instantly turned into a thing that's a separation between performer and audience. And so I would be asking questions about breaking down those barriers.
But do you try to break down those barriers when you play?
No, not yet. I've had the idea for various projects. There's like, for 15 years, I've kicked around like, how could you do music that's inclusive in its in the composition of the music? I mean, and you look at stuff like David Byrne did a great job at very stealthily adding kind of an African call and response style. Talking Heads music is like total stealth community music. He's brilliant like that. I wanted to do, okay, how could you do something that's danceable, that's inclusive, where you could perform in the middle of a crowd so that there's not so it's a thing you did as opposed to a thing you saw. And I've been so utterly intimidated by that idea and how to achieve it in a way that isn't cheesy.
Are you intimidated that you won't be able to pull it off in the way that you would be doing it respect?
Yeah, or that it would be cheesy. It's the strange thing when you get into spiritual language. It's very, it's touchy territory for me, because if you use a word like God, which is for me a very simple word for something anthropomorphic that I am bundling all my gratitude into, right? I want to say thank you to something. I don't even know if there's something to say thank you, but I want to say thank you to. So I'm completely comfortable using the word God in terms of something I invented that I say thank you to. But it's a loaded word for a lot of people. A lot of people have religion damage, or and the New Age world can go sometimes maybe too far into pseudoscience, and it's like, it's a little bit of a minefield to work in that, but it's actually where my heart's always been. I used to say atheist, but I think that's maybe too strong a term. But theist, you have to define certain things. Because the thing is, if you say you're agnostic, then you're holding out a possibility, in most people's mind, you're holding out the possibility of the Judeo-Christian creator, monotheistic God. I would say I am spiritually minded and spiritually working on my own practice, but I also feel like there's something about taking the buffet approach to spirituality that rubs me the wrong way too. I kind of envy people who can choose a practice, because although these practices come with a lot of weight, they come with a lot of baggage, right? They come with all kinds of homophobia, they come with all kinds of
absolutism,
fundamentalism, and so there's this idea of how do you practice within an established faith and keep your own sense of morality and keep your own sense of awareness in the middle of that. So people pick and choose even within faiths, right? You decide
I'm Jewish, but I'm going to eat pork.
Or rabbit, right? Or shellfish.
Right, or shellfish.
Am I gonna, how many rules, like, Judaism, Ashkenazi Jews, we are bred for a kind of OCD rule adherence. At the same time, if you just go, well, this makes me comfortable, I resonate with this, and you pick and choose from every religion, I don't think spirituality's job is to make you comfortable either. I think it's to slap you in the face and wake you up. And so there's something about, like, I have a friend who's a rabbi who talks about putting on his tefillin every morning. For those of you in the audience,
I'll put up a graphic about what that is.
Okay, tefillin. Bind them as a symbol before your eyes. And he does every single morning, and he's a Reform rabbi who says he doesn't know if he believes in God about half the time. And it's a practice. You show up. The people I know who do Buddhist meditation regularly talk about going through months on end where all they can think as they're sitting down is, I fucking hate this.
Right.
This sucks, my back hurts, I have stuff to do. With religion, with any of that, I think if you do the buffet style, you don't get that opportunity to show up every day, even when it sucks, even when you don't believe, because I think the important part is what it does to your mind to show up every day for something. As long as it makes me more compassionate and more aware and happier, like, doesn't have to be true for anybody else. And I guess the strange thing for me with religion is this idea of like a kind of pass-fail. That when people decide to believe in a single creator God, and they feel that that creator God then set up some kind of obstacle course for either eternal bliss or eternal punishment, that kind of confounds me, because it's kind of anything that, if there were such a thing, if it weren't just beautiful randomness, if there was an intent to it, we should hesitate before we make it as small as ourselves. Yeah, human suffering, that implies that we're special in some way. I mean, and I think suffering is important. I think when we try to take suffering out of the equation, we take out dynamic range. And I mean, you know, I've done the antidepressant thing, and antidepressants, they're compressors, right? They're, you know, if you think of it in audio section, you can do a visual on how audio compression works now. Yeah. It compresses your dynamic range, gives you less up, gives you less down, which also means your ability to be floored and awed and humbled and in the deepest joy is also diminished.
It's feeling, even if you're feeling shit.
Yeah, and like, I kind of like the dynamic range. And I think as long as you don't do too much storytelling around the dynamic range and try to think that it's because of something, or then you can stay pretty open. But we're narrative creatures, we are storytellers, that's our thing, right? We invented language, we invented words so we could limit things and make stories out of them. And anyway, you should probably pick another card.